Actually going to start things out on downtown, so straight away, this is where we can expect GE Pantheon to get a very early lead, and to no one's surprise, yep, that's it, the Widowmaker's out.
Shut Horror. We'll have to see how he chooses to play here. Ooh, nearly got some shots on Unknown. Unknown's going to take a while to get healed up here. Oh man, finds another headshot as he's in the rotation.
He is going to get healed up, but it's going to be from respawning.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
As the thing, to not have him healed up on that approach is really rough. New Paradigm just have a straight numbers disadvantage, and also a lot less defense against the Widowmaker now without that bubble. Frost already picked off on the brawl on the point. They lack a lot of extra damage output as well without the Zarya. That's a pretty easy fight win from GE Pantheon.
The other thing is, as soon as Kefri actually gets a pick, he evens out the disadvantage of playing something like a Widow straight away. When you consider GOATs as a 6v6 kind of thing, when you have a Widowmaker, it's 5 GOATs members versus 6 GOATs members on the other side. Once you get that pick, it's suddenly 5 GOATs members plus a Widowmaker versus the other 5 on the other side. New Paradigm are not even running the inversion, and Unknown straight away again, right back to base.
And I think this is actually one of the best things they can be picking at the start of these fights. Like we said, the lack of defense from the barriers, it opens up more damage from Kefri. The lack of extra damage output from Unknown as well on the Zarya, who is one of the more high damage members of a GOAT's composition. Twice in a row, this has been so huge.
So here's the thing, you do want to run the Rhine in a lot of cases because the shield is big, but on this map, because the high ground is so intense for a Widowmaker, you can just peek over the shield directly.
You ready for him to get another one on Unknown? Be a bit nuts. Not quite going to happen here, but the Earth Shadow's going to connect now. Unknown on his back. Tato's looking to be out of the mech here in a few moments if he's not too careful. What is the first casualty? Trade back though with Eind, and gets the rally off the table, the grab out as well, and these members of New Paradigm, and they all just fall down. After what was otherwise an okay start, having weathered most of the storm, they still actually don't find the kills to back it up.
So here's a Widowmaker factor here again, just kind of magnified a little bit, but when you consider ultimates being in play, New Paradigm do actually have an ultimate advantage, but for Global Esports Pantheon, because there is a Widowmaker, if you can get a headshot, if you can get a kill, the ults don't really count. If you have a Zenyatta with the Transcendence and he dies straight away, that's no more Transcendence.
And now New Paradigm, we still haven't actually found really much of an entry into this
armor
point.
Helps.
And Hyok's got another Earth Shatter just about up as well. That's going to be so huge. It's kind of lapped Frost in that regard. There it comes out. Huge one as well. Kefri already found a headshot on Froppy as that was coming down. And this is going to be potentially another gong coming out here. Actually just hit the weight out the Transcendence from Ref, but it's going to be the last thing used on the point. It's not quite a gong, but New Paradigm are back at base as the overtime ticks down. I don't even think Frost will get here in time. Kefri even fighting a headshot just because he's Kefri. That's going to be a clean 100-0.
Froppy nearly touched my issue. I mean, I can't confirm that, but Froppy looked like he was maybe going for that point, just trying to extend the overtime. Kefri's like, no, straight headshot, get out of here. And that's a very easy 100-0, but we expected Downtown to be the one that was going to very much favor Global Esports Pantheon. Well, the other thing we're considering here as well, there we go, it is going to be the mage change. We did say Mecha Base was going to be very, very hard for a Widowmaker to be played on, and that is the adaptation we're seeing now. And what the May can do here is actually split up the Rhine offense coming up from New Paradigm, which is going to be a decent adaptation.
I do like this play. It continues playing to Kefri's strength while also giving them opportunities to actually deal with a GOAT's comp.
There we go, add that one to the hero pool for Kefri, the official. I mean, it's being played in official, so it counts, I guess. The opening skirmish is going to be very important. Note that there's no choke hold here coming out from both teams.
Oh, nearly got an isolation there, nearly got Ref as well, but just not quite, so it's still a 6v6 scrap, and actually with that, New Paradigm should slowly start muscling out GE Pantheon. They recognize that and start backing off.
You have to see from GE Pantheon as well, they're looking for opportunities. It's a second wall that's not going to do too much. New Paradigm moving the fight onto the low ground at the open area is actually quite smart. The wall is not going to be nearly as effective here.
And they also really need to find a pick. That's the other major thing. They're relying on maybe the right click from Kefri or
the wall's not that good.
Yeah, it's just, they do get a decent wraparound on Frost, but they don't quite finish him off. Now in the thick of the fight, the Maid has other things that can come to the table. Nice catch on Froppy actually, and straight it down, finally killing Frost. This is where New Paradigm is starting to get the runaround on them. It's GE Pantheon, as in get runarounds. That was a weird turn of phrase, but Tato out of the mech now. That's going to be a pretty clean fight from GE Pantheon when they were finally able to commit to it.
Well, you start to look at the ults as well. Kefri's actually one of the first members, that's a T-Bag, that actually gets an ultimate. Blizzard up and ready to go for the next fight. The good news here now for GE Pantheon, because they did actually win that, despite being down in progression, is they have choke control. So if they scout out when New Paradigm's coming through, this is where the Mei wall is super strong.
It is slightly harder for them to scout out, though, just because they don't have the D.Va. They're very reliant on Medic to do most of their
That's
scouting.
a good wall.
That's a decent wall. They've been able to split off and kill Ref and Eind. That's kind of all the damage done already. Blizzard might not have been necessary, actually. New Paradigm were already backing off, but GE Pantheon is still going to be able to press an advantage here. Great wall. Just stop the retreat from finalizing, and they're actually going to be able to pick off two more tanks plus Froppy for their trouble.
That is maximum stagger there as well, just to make sure that as players were respawning, more players were going down. It was an A+ on the aim, A+ on the wall. Unfortunately, a little bit of a C on that Blizzard. Was a wasted ultimate, but here we go, another aggression move.
Yeah, great wall. Froppy, you see, was unable to get over the top initially, but he finally does get through. He's straight into a grab. He's already dead for his trouble. And again, New Paradigm struggling to fight their way out of the situation. Honestly, Global Esports, they're executing this team composition near flawlessly.
And you know, this is what you can do with the Mei once you start to get ahead. The problem is, if you are behind, it gets very difficult. You do not want to be fighting open spaces. Because Mecha Base is quite narrow and tight, you want to be playing the chokes, you want to be playing the corridors, and that's exactly what Global Esports are doing, except Paradigm have out-rotated them this time around.
And this is, like I said, the disadvantage of not having the D.Va. It's a bit harder to scout. It's actually still a decent wall. New Paradigm have to pull back for a moment, regroup. Nearly got the back cap in there. Earth Shatter a bit rough. The response one from Frost a little bit better, but the sound barrier keeps members safe. Now the grab out. There is no transcendence from back wall. Inhyok finally goes down, and it's going to be Water getting picked as well. Ref does die in the midst of all this, but Kefri's looking like he's going to be in trouble as soon as he comes out of that ice cube. Might even go bumped off the edge in an environmental. Indeed, that will be how he meets his maker. Now New Paradigm getting the cap back under their control. This is where it gets hard again for GE Pantheon.
This is where the ults really start to come into effect. Sakura does have a grab, Kefri does have a blizzard. You can combo both those ultimates together, but you need to make sure you have your eyes on Teto because he can use the defensive matrix to deny both of those ultimates. For GE Pantheon, a great wall can get them in, and then they need to land the combo together.
That's a nice wall actually to sort of play around with the grab a little bit.
Frost is frozen.
They don't really get much for it aside from Frost, but that's enough to open things out. Without that shield there, Ref so vulnerable, taking so much pain here. Might go down before he has a Transcendence available. Unknown getting picked thanks to being frozen up. Teto does trade one back. There's that Transcendence from Ref at long last, but it's a little late, unfortunately. A lot of members already dead, and now Eind on the cusp of getting frozen up. Nice Earth Shatter on the backside from Frost, but he's bumped down now. And Global Esports Pantheon still in a decent position, even with losing Water. They've maintained a bit of a numbers advantage. Kefri going down though. Inhyok still in the fight though, and he might just out-frag at this rate. This is still potentially anyone's fight now as that sound barrier comes in from Froppy. Suddenly New Paradigm going to turn the tides a bit, now at 90%.
And by the way, they held control of the point the entire time as well. Even when GE Pantheon started to get control back, they were starting to win, they never actually capped out. We're about to head into overtime, and GE Pantheon are fresh out of ults. Sakura's coming up to grab.
That's going to be the only thing they've got to rely on, but he's already dead. Nice execution from New Paradigm. We said that Mecha Base was going to be a potential sore point for Global Esports Pantheon, and even then actually things looked really well. They had a team comp, it was working, but the moment New Paradigm got them into the position where it stopped working, it never got going again.
And that's the thing, GE Pantheon got all the way up to 92% in terms of a lead. For New Paradigm, as soon as they started coming back, they were able to out-rotate Global Esports Pantheon. If they got stuck in their base, it would have been all over. This would have been very easy. But because they couldn't spot them out, New Paradigm were able to sneak through the bottom side, get themselves to the point. That is where Mei is weak, and they knew that. Once they had Global Esports Pantheon on the back foot, it just seemed like it was a bit too hard for GE Pantheon to get back in. However, on this map though, Sanctuary, Kefri back onto the Widow. This is a decent Widow position. Water's on the fire here as well. Inhyok on the Hammond. This is a counter Ryan Goats, and they know how to play this comp. In fact, they were the ones to debut this in the Pacific region.
Yeah, it's worked really well for them in the past. That's the good news. Mecha Base is but one map, so now GE Pantheon, tired as they are 1-for-1, can come into somewhere a little bit more comfortable. Kefri maintaining some decent sight lines. The moment New Paradigm start to poke their heads out of here, they are under the line of fire.
And the point unlocks in 4 seconds, which means New Paradigm need to go, and they need to go so soon. Water's nearly onto ult.
Very quick reaction. Look at that, taking huge damage as they barrel towards the point. Tato gets a little bit cut off, just enough to be demeched. New Paradigm got the point cap in that, but there's the rocket barrage. Burst onto Tato, then onto Frost, does go down, but Kefri finds a headshot of Ref in among the chaos, and that's going to be GE Pantheon handily actually winning the opening skirmish in spite of New Paradigm sneaking the cap through in that time.
And even with Water going down, he gets res back into it. Kefri now has the infrasight available as well. Perfect timing as New Paradigm about to respawn and reapproach this push. Kefri now can sight everything for his own team, and you even see it, the combinations. If Inhyuk on the Hammond knocks up a bunch of guys, Kefri can get very easy headshots. Water the concussive blast as well. There's actually a lot of CC against the Scotes comp. New Paradigm now swapping to 2 DPSs, Frost on a Winston.
This is a really nice angle around the side for Water as well. Again, it's just forcing New Paradigm to rotate in one specific direction. It means Kefri can set up for the right sightline for it. It makes the approach so dangerous for New Paradigm.
The thing is, there's no Brigida for Global Esports, so Iron should be able to get a really good flank of the Kefri.
Oh, and Ref actually finds Water. Kefri does catch Unknown, though, with a headshot, so bit of damage already being done. Iron just kind of got a solo carry here. He's got to be able to deal with Kefri, plus these healers.
No, he doesn't.
Doesn't get it. Kefri's 2 for 2 on killing DPSs now, really making up for Water going down earlier. Even finds Froppy to boot. Ref is in trouble. It's actually going to be Inhyuk who gets the finish off on that one. Tato's still going to get popped out of the mech. Kefri doesn't quite get that headshot.
He doesn't want to go for it. You do want to stagger up the Baby D. Exactly. That was a purposeful miss. In fact, he didn't even take the shot. Here's the thing you have to consider, though. Eind was chasing Kefri for the majority of that previous fight. As soon as Eind decided to swap targets on the backwall, who is an easier target to dive on, Kefri's got his number. He instantly snipes him down.
Oh, and now again, I'm going dead onto Kefri along with Unknown. But even with the two of them, they're not able to find it. The defense is there from GE Pantheon. And now with the infrasight, so much harder for either of those two flankers to approach Kefri.
Now, this is just more percentage points that Global Esports can tick up. They're going to get over 80% here. Likely New Paradigm have to wait till nearly 90 before they can actually push. And that's just more and more advantage that Global Esports can have. Look at Kefri's positioning, just constantly going the opposite direction.
And then, I mean, look at how many ultimates New Paradigm are just going to have to commit to stay in the fight. They still don't even have an EMP. They don't have those big fight winners yet. Ref's already down. Good catch, though, to get the DPSs out of the picture. Inhyuk and Sakura have a lot of work to do, and that's with the minefield having already been committed. Now Inhyuk going down. This is finally New Paradigm actually just straight out fragging as well.
Here we go. Kefri's actually coming back on a Sombra, which is really nice. He can get back very quickly. Global Esports, if they win this fight, they can get this map.
Ain's keeping the pressure on, though. Sakura hasn't actually died. Might not be able to get back in the mech, though. Froppy's going to make sure of that. Water comes in with a barrage, though. Finds 2, and Kefri finds Froppy as well. Cat went over, but New Paradigm instantly lose that position. Even with Water getting fragged out of the sky, Kefri's still in the mix here. Backwall's got a Transcendence if necessary. Point went back over to GE Pantheon.
That one is going to be a cleanup now. GE Pantheon, they were pushed, they were challenged, which was not an easy win on Busan, but it was still very convincing, and they're going to go 1-0 up in the series so far. And I think this particular map, this 3-round series that we have just seen, is a perfect example of why the other 4 members, in fact, just the other members in general, the tank line and the support line, are all up to scratch. They all are deserving of a lot of credit. We spent a lot of time talking about the 4 DPSs, but you just have to look at it. When Kefri's under pressure as a Widow, the amount of protection he's getting, Sakura's right on point with the DM, with all the members being in the right places, Inhyuk with the Hammond as well, just setting up kills for all the DPSs. They get all the kill feed pressure, they get all of the sort of credit in terms of collecting the kills, but it's everyone setting them up that you do have to congratulate as well.
And actually one thing that's quite interesting is because these DPSs draw so much attention, Kefri especially on Sanctuary there, something that we haven't really talked about that is actually a real factor is it's taking so much pressure off the supports. The supports are normally, I mean, especially if you cast your mind back to Dive, when we consider here that was Sombra and Tracer both just being played now from New Paradigm, it was the supports that would often receive most of that pressure, and that would be with tanks included in the mix here as well. But the DPSs on New Paradigm, their attention has to be split. Do we deal with like the backline DPS and members like Kefri? Do we deal with the supports, try and take them out of the picture? Who's going to handle Water, getting aggressive? And they're just unable to deal with all of the little pieces of what GE Pantheon can do.
And I think that's just the consistency that we're seeing out as well. You have to start wondering, why do we keep running why keep running Kefri? Why keep running a Widowmaker in general? Most teams would not opt to keep running a Widowmaker. It seems a little too risky. But when you start seeing some of the results, when you start seeing some of the shots that Kefri's actually taking and how consistently he's actually able to get them, you get your answer, because other Widowmakers that we've seen, including the really good ones, Patty Pan can get 4 or 5 kills in a row sometimes, but other times, if he's not getting these other shots, you're not seeing the
kind
impact.
of invisible.
Kefri might not be getting a huge string of kills in every single team fight. He's got to share the damage around. Water's picking up a lot of kills as well. The tanks are doing damage. The supports are doing damage. If Kefri just gets 1 or 2 shots really well every single fight, or 1 kill every fight, I think he's done his job. He's already making his presence known. He's already going 1 for 1 in terms of actual impact. If you're a Widowmaker, you kill 1 person and then you die, you've traded equally. You've done your job.
There's almost like a kind of soft taunt that comes with Kefri being fielded, but I don't want to get too much into that. That's a little more conjectural. At any rate, though, moving forward here, GE Pantheon with the 1 on the board, having, I would say, weathered what should be the hardest map for them to win out on, being Busan. They now move on to Hollywood. That is, of course, New Paradigm's pick. Now, interestingly enough, last time GE Pantheon fielded Kefri on Busan, they then went to Hollywood next, and they stayed on with Kefri.
And this is it. When you sort of think about New Paradigm's decision here, they are the ones choosing to play on Hollywood. They are also the ones now potentially choosing to play into Kefri's Widow once again. They have to know this is coming. They have to predict this is going to be the case. They've seen it against other teams, so there is no reason for GE Pantheon to not go in that direction. Maybe they've got something else planned, but I don't think that's going to be it, because so far, when they're fielding Widowmaker on Widowmaker maps that are positive for Widow, they've been getting the results. They've been winning the maps. Kefri's still 100% win rate.
And that's the thing. I mean, maybe they're just going to match with a Widowmaker. I'm not exactly sure what it is New Paradigm are going to do here. They do have options. They should be able to play some different team compositions where they can maybe more directly challenge, again, what they know that GE Pantheon will play as soon as they see what the DPS lineup is. And I mean, we are assuming it's going to be Kefri, but we don't know that for certain. We could actually see Kadalis or even Spanik come in here. But the point remains, New Paradigm should be able to come in prepared.
And it's at this sort of point where I do truly believe the ball has been served, that it is on the side of the court of New Paradigm. They have to be the ones to respond right now. They have to be the ones to kind of hit back and make GE Pantheon react in some sort of way, because you're at the sort of space where you know Kefri's here, you know Water's here. They've already gone on to Pharah Widow, which has been one of their signature compositions so far this season. It's up to New Paradigm to find the appropriate counters, and they are on the attack, which means once they spot the defense, once they've scouted it out, they should be able to have the option to make changes.
There's a point where if they aren't able to make changes, if they don't make changes and what they're currently running doesn't work, you've got to consider if maybe they just don't have a good way of dealing with what GE Pantheon want to run here. Strange as that may be to say.
One of the things you can run is a Widow, because it counters out both Kefri and Water. But you've got to hit the shots, and so far, New Paradigm's going aggressive.
Oh, Kefri gets the opening kill. It's on Froppy. Now pressure's mounting. Water's able to go forward, find Ainz, and
it's just clockwork.
Exactly, keeps the pressure on. New Paradigm very quickly sent into full retreat.
It's 1 kill from Kefri, 1 kill from Water. This happens every single time, and now a stagger onto Ref as well.
Yeah.
Here are those changes though. Ainz going to go on the Tracer, Unknown onto the Sombra. This is New Paradigm's bread and butter for trying to deal with a Pharah and a Widow combination. It's going to be an attempted flank by both of these hit scan flankers to maybe get Kefri out of the picture first.
The unfortunate thing though, look, last time Ainz on the Tracer, this was on Sanctuary, against this composition from GE Pantheon, only difference being backwalls on Zenyatta, Ainz wasn't able to find anything. I don't think he's going to necessarily have more success against backwall on Ana, nor against Kefri on his high ground.
Well, sort of depends. At least it's taking Kefri's attention right now. Especially with that dive.
That's smart play from Frost. They actually find Medic, they catch him out. Now Tato's able to continue the pressure on Kefri, and it does work. It works very quickly, very handily from New Paradigm. So finally showing the adaptation, showing that this indeed does work for them.
And this is where Global Esports don't get that opening pick. It's New Paradigm. They were able to pressure Kefri out, force him to rotate, force him to hookshot away. Teto cleans up that kill. Water is not able to respond while his co-DPS is being taken down. The supports get taken down as well. Medic dies very early. And now for Global Esports Pantheon, they have lost that opening point. New Paradigm do get to push through. Ultimates are starting to come online.
Good scout on Ainz. He's not going to get anything too funky. He even gets shot out by Kefri. That's a little unfortunate. He was looking to maybe get some kind of flank in. Now, one real crucial thing is Unknown. Close to an EMP, but still a little ways away.
Ainz is going to go onto the Genji here, which is a decent adaptation for point B.
Do like this.
You do need the verticality here, especially going up against someone like Kefri, already low.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, on the other side of things, Water getting on the back line of New Paradigm with resounding success and even able to get out alive thanks to Medic in the pocket. Like we said, Water's going to be just fine as long as he's got Medic on his team. Nice.
Just going to secure that kill there. Teto is going to have to wait a little while to come back for New Paradigm. Don't want to lose anybody else. Ainz still needs a bit of time to get this blade into action. The Sombra EMP is nearly available. Kefri has already used the infra site, so Unknown should be fairly safe to find a good position here.
Says a lot, though, that he was at, what, 77 beforehand. Now he's only just able to commit it now. There's the follow-up, though, from New Paradigm. Nice and quick. They find Enhyok, but, man, they lose 2 members, 1 to each of GE Pantheon's DPSs. It's a good catch to finish off Enhyok, but it's not actually turning into cart movement. Now self-destruct from Sakura, partially to preserve the mech, partially to keep pressure on New Paradigm as Frost a little bit low here. Will finally get finished off by Water. Now Ainz, I mean, he's still got to do what his job is, and that's to keep the pressure on these DPSs, but he's having a bit of trouble doing so. Now Ref under fire, not quite enough shots landing from Water, but I mean, New Paradigm aren't exactly getting very far anyway.
Here comes a blade, though, instantly shut down by Medic of all people.
Yeah, he was just a bit too low as that started, and that means Water gets raised for free. New Paradigm are retreating again.
And actually, you see New Paradigm trying to play around that side alley instead of the main road. That's a nice adaptation because it doesn't play into Kefri's sightlines. It forces him to a location that he doesn't necessarily want to play so well. But while they're trying to do that, they can't actually affect the cart. So while the cart is in the position it's in, Kefri is still very effective.
That's the reality. I mean, even moving for that approach into that position, it's not always easy. Rocket Barrage now self-destructs to force Water out of that position. He does get away in time, and he did also find one with the Rocket Barrage. So GE Pantheon, again, getting the better of the trade.
There's still 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, which is not too much left for New Paradigm. The cart is even moving backwards, now just sliding behind. And for New Paradigm, because they are flanking, because they're trying to get behind GE Pantheon to really impact out Kefri, they have no objective pressure.
And all it ever takes is one headshot out of Kefri, and there's a lot of very headshotable characters on this team. Frost is going to be the sufferer this time. Ainz actually, that's a deflect headshot, I think. It also finds Medic. Finally, they look to crack this one open off the back of some flashy DPS plays, but still, again, losing Teto's mech here does make it a bit more risky for Unknown and Ainz. Kefri will come back into this as well. By the way, Sakura is still getting kills on what is now quite squishy members.
That's the thing, there's still trades being made, the Water's still alive, and as long as one DPS is there, there's always a possibility of counter trades coming through. EMP and Blade available, but Frost is already down.
And now Kefri's back in as well, immediately finishes off Ainz with the body shot. And that's the thing, New Paradigm, even when they got a couple of kills, they didn't get enough to actually get the cart fully pushing and take control of the situation.
This is a tough place, even for Unknown to be in right now. This is a very aggressive positioning. Or rather, I wish it's probably safe for Unknown. It's actually Kefri's defensive spawn. But either way, look, we're in a sort of space now where we were at 2 minutes 30. We're now at 1 minute 14. You fail another couple of pushes with New Paradigm, and the entire attack is over.
They should be able to get a successful one somewhere in here. But again, they already lose one member. They kind of really need that sound barrier as well. They commit a Valkyrie here, GE Pantheon. They want to get aggressive, and it pays off. They find Rep as well. New Paradigm just hemorrhaging time. Sakura's got 3 kills in a row, all headshots as well. What is this guy doing?
And this is going to be a late stagger onto Teto, the baby diva, and you can sort of just see now things getting very, very bad for New Paradigm. It's been another 30 seconds where nothing's really happened. The only good news here is Unknown has found a decent position, needs to be careful not to be spotted out, has to really use the EMP on the backhaul to deny that Transcendence, and he does.
I mean, he does get that, but I mean, there's that difference of what the DPSs are able to achieve on the back line. Water actually found a kill. Backwall's going to get raised back in anyway, so it's all even Stevens. Kefri's able to snipe out Unknown as well in that pitched battle. 1 hit point! He draws Frost's attention for a very long time, I will say that much. Trying to get the raise in his medic, but that's a bit of an ill-fated journey. Unfortunately not able to complete that one. New Paradigm though, they're still not winning the fight.
So many else from New Paradigm.
But Eind already died. Frost goes down. Must have been hacked out there. Couldn't use a Primal Rage. Teto's got a self-destruct to preserve his mech. Inhyuk does get picked off, but now the Transcendence has run out. EMP finally comes across out of Unknown, but Water's getting topped up. Finally drops now as Backwall did die as well. The New Paradigm are going to get just a little bit more cart movement. Nice interrupt on the Razor as well. Medic should go down here.
But here's the problem. Because the cart hasn't moved that far forward, New Paradigm still have to contest with another defense. Global Esports should be able to get a full wave of respawns, assuming no one else goes down. That's very important. G Pantheon have to fully regroup at 6.
This is finally the first position though where Kefri doesn't have great sightlines. You will say that much, but Sakura able to get out, get contesting along with Inhyuk running the Primal Rage. Sakura's mech is low, but preserving it for the time being is really, really important. This has also opened up Kefri just a little bit. Hides from the self-destruct, which does actually find Inhyuk. And for once, GE Pantheon haven't really got the kills, but now the EMP out of Water. He's got to follow it up alone, though. With the Razor on Inhyuk, I mean, even despite that, there's not going to be enough damage there. That will be New Paradigm finally getting a cap on B.
This is about the positioning on B, where, like you said, Kefri on the Widow, not as effective, doesn't have the sightlines, doesn't have the protection as New Paradigm, forcing fights, getting into a brawl scenario. Kefri's been caught at spawn. This is a very early spawn for him before the cap went through, which means he doesn't have an option. He just has to go down. The only unfortunate thing is, because he respawned as a Zarya, that's 400 HP he gives away instead of just 200. Still, though, gets himself 19% ult charge, and for Global Esports, they do need to reset quickly, they do need to recontest quickly. There is going to be an EMP from New Paradigm.
Yeah, Kefri has actually decided to go into the Sombra instead. That's going to be the team comp GE Pantheon one. But speaking of Sombras, EMP from Unknown, quick follow-up onto Inhyuk. They do want to find a bit more than that though, because otherwise they don't get too much free push, but looks like the one's all they'll get for that EMP.
And now they're still waiting. Still waiting to see if New Paradigm can get something with this Pulse Bomb. Eind is just really trying to get into the back line. Instantly sniped out though.
They do at least trade that one back, but losing that Pulse Bomb is really unfortunate. Ref as well going down in the counter dive from GE Pantheon. And that's what this is. This is essentially two dive comps now. Now double self-destruct laid in. Water's the one who finds kills in here. And again, GE Pantheon's DPSs are just out-fragging for the most part. 15 seconds to go. New Paradigm is still losing members very late in the fight here.
And that's the issue, because they need to actually be able to reset. That's the translocate gone, which means Unknown is probably going to get caught out here with 7 seconds remaining. He's not even going to respawn in time.
Eind is at least in position to contest the payload. May even be able to get a kill. Not going to be able to get a back cap. Oh, it doesn't even get a kill. Already sniped out again. Backwall, the bane of traces everywhere. Water finds one with the Dragon Blade. It is so satisfying seeing this guy on the Genji that he is so well known for. Now look, you'll give credit where it is due. New Paradigm got a good bit of distance for how much they struggled at various junctures, but the EMP from Kefri will signal the terminus, the farthest point they will reach with that payload as the overtime ticks down, and now it hands over to GE Pantheon to attack.
And this is where you do have to give a bit of credit to New Paradigm, because they were able to push the cart as far as it did. They struggled a lot on the first couple of points, especially onto B. There was a middle section of B where they just got no progress. In fact, the cart was ever so slightly, slowly moving backwards time and time again. Every single time New Paradigm actually lost a fight. But then they eventually were able to pressure Kefri out, get watered down as well, get enough picks, really force Global Esports to be on the back foot as they were respawning, then get a few more kills, get enough momentum to actually get the cart into a defendable position. So for New Paradigm now, what they can do is, A, they could defend on that first point or the second point, but if they do get on the third point, which is somewhat likely, they actually have a defendable position. The card is in a location where they're not just going to instantly lose once we go to C.
It's a bit of an odd spot nonetheless for New Paradigm, purely because they do have to pull out a pretty solid defense, and it's going to be a bit tough. GE Pantheon, they will be able to put a lot of pressure on that point A. New Paradigm, I do like this composition out the gate for them, for a point A defense. This is what we say when we say reading your enemy's team composition.
So it's all about Frost here, and Kefri is mousing over the Sombra right now, but I would suspect that once he realizes it's a Pharmacy plus a McCree, a Widowmaker exactly counters basically all of them. You outrange the McCree by a lot, and you also have great hit scan pressure against the flying characters. That's why it comes down to Frost, because his shield placement and his ability to protect his teammates, specifically the supports and Unknown, that's going to be key. And Kefri already on the Widow, he's smelling blood.
If that had been a Sombra out the game for Kefri, there was a window when New Paradigm should get an early fight, and then maybe set themselves up for a bit of an ultimate snowball on the defense.
I think he translocates straight back to base and changes anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. The Widowmaker, like you said, outranges the McCree, outpressures the Pharmacy. Even Water going to move back and make a change here.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Water maybe perhaps thinks about going onto something like a Sombra or a Pharah, I was even going to say. The only reason the Pharah might be tricky is because there is a McCree, but is willing to take the fight to the skies against Iron.
And I mean, Water, I believe he has played a little bit of Pharah v Pharah. And I mean, that's only if Kefri doesn't finish Ainz before Water's even able to land shots on him.
Here's the thing about the wall coming from Frost as well. You can't protect all the angles, so eventually, if Unknown steps just even slightly, look at Kefri's damage, already on 74%.
And that's the thing, it's so risky. And that's to say nothing of Ainz. He has to be really careful of what Kefri's looking at as well. At any moment, if Ainz is a bit too exposed for a bit too long, Kefri could just find a shot. But it is going to be Sakura getting D-maxed. That's the opening blow of this fight with a minute already elapsed as well.
Look at where the dogfight's taking place. It's almost like two separate team fights are going on at the same time. It's both the pharmacies in the corner, then the rest of the team versus the rest of the team on the other side of the map. But so far, X New Paradigm stalling for a long time. It's been more than 1 minute already elapsed. Global Esports haven't really pressured anything up. They don't have any kills whatsoever. They might get one soon, but they need one a lot quicker than that.
Sakura's still not back in this mech as well, so actually this Deadeye is really unblocked. That's going to be Inhyuk getting picked for it. They find Water as well. There was a decent catch on Ein there, but this is still New Paradigm in a good position on the defense. They didn't quite get their flashbang, but they still get the headshot. Unknown showing Kefri who's boss. And New Paradigm, this is the kind of defense they're really going to need.
And this is where you also did get to see the Deadeye being channeled there. You also see a concussive blast used by Water to knock him on the low ground, but Kefri didn't have the sightline on Unknown to take him down. That would have been the most precarious place to use a Deadeye. Usually if you Deadeye in that location or at all, you just get headshot by a Widowmaker. He survives, then finds Kefri, takes Kefri down as well. Now we're less than 2 minutes through. Global Esports do not have a tick.
They're not actually fragging out as much as they have been previously in this series so far. Very noticeable difference in Water's position. It is being tracked here. Ain's going to be able to find Kefri getting aggressive on that as Water wasn't really bothering with Ein, was looking for this rocket barrage, which is going to get counted out by Ref, and Water's going to go down for his trouble. That's not the clever flank he was hoping it would be, and Inhyuk got headshot on the front side. Not quite a third either for GE Pantheon as they again push back to base to lick their wounds.
This is going to get very tricky now. The pharmacy in the sky hasn't really worked. Water still has a player around Unknown. He hasn't been able to out-pressure Ein. Kefri as well is just still struggling to find targets. Surprisingly, he hasn't been managing to kill either Froppy or Ein, and he's still struggling to get Unknown because he's behind the Orisa shield. Water now into the Genji at least maybe puts a little bit more pressure on the actual dive if he works with Inhyuk and Sakura.
It's going to be hard still. Ein as well. He doesn't take that extra pressure from Water, only has to worry about Kefri. He does still take a bit of pressure from Water, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same as that pharmacy dogfight we've been seeing up until this point. Now GE Pantheon getting on the dive, Deadeye being channeled out. The rocket barrage deflected back at Ein, but the Deadeye still finds something. Kefri gets Froppy though, and at long last, GE Pantheon have opened up as they've been needing to do for so long. Now self-destruct from Tito though, completely changes the pace of that one. Won't be able to remech. Frost does go down as well, but Unknown still in the fight, and as long as that's the case, it is not over. But he has to directly contest Inhyuk on the point. He's able to do so. Inhyuk gets shot in the back as he tries to dive to safety, and now New Paradigm, they maintain control.
Global Esports have less than 20 seconds remaining and no ults to play with either. New Paradigm in a very good position, not even one tick from GE Pantheon so far. There needs to be some picks, and Hyuk's back into the mix, but can GE Pantheon actually push through?
Good, very highly mobile comp. Medic's in trouble, able to fly away. No, not so much. Cheto, good follow-up. Does trade his mech. No, not quite.
Water, oh no!
Finally gets D-mech, but that's with Water already gone down, and now it starts to fall apart for GE Pantheon. Is Unknown, uncontested headshot on Inhyuk. Deadeye to channel out, but it's just for style. Full hold. We've got a series on our hands.
And this is when New Paradigm fight back and say, we can handle this pressure, we can handle the Widow, we can handle the Pharmacy, we can do it all here. And they managed to do it in such a stylish way where the complete A point, not even a single take. GE Pantheon were waiting and waiting and waiting for picks. They finally got a couple. Guess what though? Tito gets himself a double on the self-destruct.
Yeah.
And suddenly that's not enough. Usually what you are seeing is GE Pantheon, either Water or Kefri, sometimes both, will get a frag, and then off the back that it's 6v5, that then GE Pantheon get to roll through and win on advantage. That just never really happened on that offense. And now, like you said, a series on our hands, it's 1-1.
And that's why we said don't count New Paradigm out here. Don't let that 5th place fool you. This is a team that's looked good all season long. I would actually say the more worrying thing right now is actually GE Pantheon. They are an exceptionally good team. We saw that on Busan. They played really, really well. And when they were winning hard. but then there were also the positions, the places where what they were trying to run just didn't work. It didn't work on Mecha Base. And here on Hollywood, it felt like New Paradigm just kind of figured them out. What Global Esports Pantheon are trying to do when they're fielding Kefri has officially stopped working in this matchup.
At least for now anyway, at least for this one map, and his win rate is no longer 100%, but that was unrealistic anyway. Most players don't have that kind of win rate. What you are also seeing is, for the first time, GE Pantheon just looking a little bit lost, just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
When is the next headshot coming? When is the next direct shot from water coming through? When does maybe the Ana or Zenyatta get a nice sleep dart or a 5-ball coming through, a volley kill? Nothing's really coming through, and it's all just time being wasted because they're an attacking team. They are the ones under pressure to actually affect the control point, to actually really try and drag New Paradigm to contest them. And here's the bonus for Bunker Comp is if they get to sit on the cafe, if they get to sit on the high ground and not go down to the point, that's where they're strongest. That's why a lot of teams will still run goats into something like a bunker, because once you have objective pressure, the Orisa and the McCrees and all of that, they have to come down and meet you, and that's where they're weak.
Exactly. The reality is here, GE Pantheon, for all the flexibility they've got between their 4 DPSs, actually in the scope of one map, we're now seeing a situation where they're a little bit hamstrung because of their particular choice of DPSs, because let's get real, they're not going to run a goats when they've got Kefri out in play. It's not because
it's not a post. He did go over Zari very briefly.
They could, but they clearly don't want to. They're clearly avoiding it. And you almost wish that they had, even if maybe they feel it's a bit suboptimal, not getting the most out of each of their members there. Actually, compositionally, like you said, could have just been what they needed to crack that point.
Well, my sort of take on that is I think the communication is still a bit of an issue. If you sort of have seen some of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on there, Kefri himself has sort of mentioned that it's communication is an ongoing thing, that is a work in progress. And guess what? Ghost requires a ton of communication, requires a lot of coordination that still needs to be worked on. And this map itself, this match, I should probably say in itself, is still a little bit of a work in progress. We're 1-1 through right now. We are going to take a bit of a break. When we come back, though, and it's going to be the resolution of the series. Who's going to make it out on top? Find out after this.